Okay, good evening, everybody. We're going to call this public speak out portion of our meeting to order. Time is 6:32. Today is Monday, December 15th. We have 4 speakers registered to speak out on various subjects this evening. And as always, the broadcast is being provided by Focus Springfield. Thank you, George and Josue. We're going to start and offer, as we do with all meetings, 3 minutes for each registered participant. And first, I just have a first name here, Greg. I don't have a last name. And Greg is registered to speak regarding requests for proposals, RFPs. Is Greg here this evening? Last call for Greg. We'll try Greg one more time at the end. Our next speaker is Stephen Howard. I did see Mr. Howard. Oh, hi, Mr. Howard. You have the floor, and we will give you 3 minutes.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Mr. President. Stephen Howard, McKnight neighborhood. I've been talking lately about including or expanding the curricula in schools to be more inclusive of African history, and I'm talking about going back to ancient Africa. You're talking about Kemet, Ethiopia, Egypt, because a lot of folks don't realize that this is our history. And one of my main reasons for wanting to do this, and I haven't been to the school committees yet, but I've been putting out some feelers, and people tend to think it's a great idea. Because when you look at movies like the Bible and stuff, you see people who don't look like us. And when you go into Genesis, you realize that the place that's described as the Garden of Eden and the rivers that run there, all those rivers are on the African continent. Israel is on the African continent. There are lots of places that people think is in North Africa. They don't even realize that North Africa is really what we call the Middle East. So when people talk about the Middle East, they separate it from Africa. And I think that's an injustice to everyone, not just people of African heritage. A lot of people don't even know that the pyramids were built by Africans, that the water system, we're the ones that designed that before the Greeks actually started using it for their nations. We give credit to Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, and all of these so-called Greek philosophers. They went into Egypt and Ethiopia to learn those philosophies, which they then took back to Greece. A lot of our children don't know of the greatness of our history. Our history is depicted as though it belongs to someone else. And when they start talking about our history, all they want to do is start from the enslavement of the Africans. And this needs to be changed, not just for African ancestry, but also for everyone. It should be part of the regular history that's taught from pre-K all the way through high school. Tertiary educational facilities already offer that. I understand there's a limited amount of that Egyptian history that's being taught in certain schools, but even that is selective, it's not mandatory. And if we're going to read about other people's history, then our history needs to be included, and that goes back at least 6,000 years. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. Okay, our next speaker this evening is Charles Stokes regarding lighting issues. Mr. Stokes.
President and City Council's here in the City of Springfield. I would just like to state for the record, early in 2025, a pedestrian was fatally struck and hit. Her name is Sylvia Gladden. 4 years prior to that, Greg Gabardon was struck and killed in the same vicinity. And so Springfield continues to rank among the most dangerous municipalities in Massachusetts for pedestrians with corridors such as State Street and surrounding areas identified in prior safety analysis as high risk due to outdated infrastructure, inadequate lighting, and insufficient protections for residents. Community reports and Springfield Police Traffic Unit communications have acknowledged poor nighttime lighting conditions in areas associated with fatal crash investigations, reinforcing concerns that known visibility risks remain unaddressed, while recent infrastructure improvements, such as on the corner of Mass Ave and Wilbraham Road, when a 65-year-old Agawam resident was struck and killed, not only was infrastructure done, but there was lightings placed. Near the Central Library downtown, Springfield demonstrate that solutions exist. These actions have been piecemeal and unevenly deployed, leaving neighborhoods such as Ward 4 disproportionately exposed. So, the community, we want the mayor to issue an executive directive ordering emergency citywide audit of street lighting conditions, prioritizing high fatality corridors and historically underserved wards, including Ward 4. 2, authorize immediate repairs and upgrades to non-functioning or inadequate street lights using available municipal resources. 3, directing relevant city departments to establish a clear and enforceable implementation timeline with public benchmarks. 4, mandating direct engagement with affected communities, particularly Ward 4 residents, to identify hazardous locations. In conclusion, every fatality that took place referenced was predictable and preventable. Continued delay, especially in communities bearing disproportionate risk, represents a failure of executive responsibility and public safety leadership. And one final note, how many more deaths is it going to take in Ward 4 before the mayor and the city council does something to make sure that Eversource does its job? Each death that occurs in our community, loved ones are lost. And as we go home to celebrate our holidays, let's think about the family members who've lost their lives. Right after the accident happened, we still have lights on Ward 4 that are out and broken, and Eversource continues to get paid for this. And one final note before I close. I want to say this to City Councilwoman Tracy Whitfield. My daughter turns 18 during the next election, and she's going to be proud because I'm bringing her down here to see the first black woman elected as president of the City Council. What a prime example you're going to show for young black women all over this city and the state. I hope you're much successful in your endeavor.
Thank you, Mr. Stokes. Okay, our last speaker here is Mr. Reverend Will Naylor. Mr. Naylor?
I don't know why y'all put me up after Charles like that, you know. But down to serious business. We certainly thank you, Mr. President, and all of you, City Council, for the opportunity to address you tonight. The residents of Mason Square and the broader Springfield community are demanding what should never have required a fight: respect, responsiveness, and the basic safety owed to every neighborhood. For far too long, Eversource has failed to uphold its contractual obligations in our urban corridors, leaving critical streetlights dark and our people vulnerable. We collectively mourn yet another life lost on the State Street corridor. Sylvia Gladden, who was a member of our church, Holy Redeemer Cathedral, who was the victim of a hit-and-run fatality at a location long known to be hazardous. For years, the intersections of State and Catherine Street and nearby corners have been shrouded in darkness due to unrepaired streetlights. Yes, careless drivers do bear responsibilities, but these tragedies occur in predictable places where lighting is insufficient and long neglected. Dim streetlights invite danger, and our community continues to pay the price. Residents deserve more than increasing high monthly utility bills and expectations of prompt payment, while Eversource utility shareholders enjoy high dividend checks at the expense of those who struggle with economic disparity and persistent poverty issues. We deserve a utility company that values our lives as much as our dollars. How long must we be ignored? Eversource, answer the call of our citizens who contact 311 to request remediation of these ongoing public safety issues. Work with our director of DPW, who has consistently requested that Eversource utilities take action to expedite the pending work orders. Honor the efforts of our Springfield City Council, who have met with Eversource utility spokesmen time and time again to expedite the repairs on behalf of the neighborhoods they represent. How long must we ask the same question? What does it take to change a light bulb? The delays are indefensible, the neglect is historic, and the consequences are deadly. Eversource, establish that you hear the voices of our community and begin by illuminating the street lights located at State and Catherine Street in the heart of Mason Square. Demonstrate through action that the lives of Springfield's urban residents matter. Move this work order to the top of the list and illuminate the darkness before more lives are lost. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Naylor. Okay, and our last speaker this evening I'll return to, called at the beginning but was not present. Greg or Gregory signed up to speak regarding requests for proposals or RFPs. Is Greg or Gregory here this evening? Okay, what was that? Great, Eggleby, he's not here, okay. All right, so that is our last registered speaker. That will conclude public speak out. Council will stand in recess until 7 p.m.